My name is Brain Klee. I'm currently the defensive coordinator, offensive line, and defensive line coach at Coloma High School. The high school enrollment's about 400 students, and our football numbers have kind of been declining some. We got about 35 guys, and most of our guys end up playing two ways, especially as the season progresses. A lot of times, a couple 1.5 way type players. So. About 18 years of coaching experience. The last 7 here have been at Coloma, the last 6 as defensive coordinator.
Okay, I'm Tyler Schneider. I'm at Bixby, Oklahoma. We're a 6A Division II school here in Oklahoma. Going into my 14th year of coaching, going into my 11th year here at Bixby. We've been extremely fortunate the last 7 years. We played in the state championship. We've won 6 of them, won 3 and then lost 1 and then won 3 the last 3. I'd like to say it's because of me or the coaching job we do, but we've been pretty fortunate with some really, really talented kids. I got a couple that are playing at Oklahoma State now and doing a great job. So that's pretty much it, man. That's me. So the receiver that's off the ball, we're going to put him in orbit motion to the field, with the two receivers to the field blocking most dangerous. From the looks of it, it'd probably end up being the roll down safety and the corner. Then that's going to be the quarterback's first read. If he feels like if a blitz in or we've got an equal numbers advantage, we're going to throw that, because on first down, our goal is to gain 4 yards. Our running back's our best player on our team, so if we can throw a swing to him with equal numbers advantage to the field. Or excuse me, that's the receiver on the orbit motion. That's wide receiver. So again, we feel good about throwing the swing to him. Our running back is set to the boundary, and he's running a T-pipe down the seam, releasing just outside of the tackle box, running a seam. And he's a decoy. Like I said, he's the best player on our team, so we're running him on a seam route down the seam as a decoy. Got it. And then slow screening the sniffer tight end back to the boundary side, with the tackles high walling, guard, pass set, flat, center, pass set, alley, backside guard, pass set. Just your standard slow screen stuff, yeah. With the quarterback's read being, can I throw the swing, the orbit motion swing, with equal numbers, to get us 4 yards. If not, keep gaining depth and throw that screen back to the backside. The T-pipe is just a runoff, try to gain attention. If they're manning with him, get somebody to run. All eyes are on that guy usually for us because he's our best player.
Okay. Alignment-wise, I was like initially we ended up we're like a flex bone team on offense, so really familiar with getting on balanced and kind of trying to convince the other team that you're going to that on-balance side to ultimately come back when they give you numbers back to that weak side. So I was anticipating potentially some sort of jet sweep. So I feel good if you put some sort of swing over there. We'll be at least matching numbers, and we got to tackle that guy, obviously, in space. But we're going to have a free guy to tackle him. Whether or not we do, I guess, is a different story. Was ready for some sort of misdirection, and then to try and get a little pass rush type deal. We're going to loop the outside backer there. Now that he's sent his running back, I don't like that as much, but and we're obviously rolling to like a sky cover 3 type thing. That's something we do a lot to motions and on balance stuff, just so that way we can outside leverage that number 2 receiver and set an edge and make sure that swing at least would have to, or jet sweep or whatever, has to cut back to some pursuit, and feel like we protect the post on some sort of post. I do think, kind of looking at the play and what's happening there, the screen, it always becomes a case. High school kids sniffing out screen, that's something. It's kind of a pain in the butt, especially if it's not on scout film, of getting your guys coached up to do that. Our defensive line, our coaching point, like we tell our kids, if you feel that guy let you go, kind of hold them, pull them back to you for a second, and then chase the hip pocket, retrace your steps. Sniffing out the screen, that's always kind of a dubious thing. I don't think our outside back will at all. You're probably going to get the inside linebackers blocked up on the screen there because we primarily will key guards to near back or backfield flow. They're going to see pass and drop off probably at 10 yards. So you're going to get those guys blocked. It's how much room do you end up having between the D line. And I don't love our leverage on that running back out of the backfield. He'll have inside leverage on that corner. Our corner, I think, it would come down to that actual matchup. Our corner, I'd be confident with him running, but if he works towards the post, especially with that swing going on, he's thinking some sort of bubble go, swing and go type pass situation there. So that deep safety rolling to the deep third, his eyes are probably going to drift to that 3 receiver side. So there's probably a little bit of a seam to fit it into that running back if that's where your quarterback decides to go. He'll have inside leverage on the seam, I think. Call we'd be in our angle call right now, angling away from that sniffer. We're usually bringing one of the outside linebackers in some way, shape, or form on most our calls. So that the stud's coming from the field, he would be D gap. He'd be if it's a reach block, he's going to stretch it. If you get some sort of down block out of that sniffer and that sniffer's inserting inside at all, he's going to look to spill the next thing coming. And then we try to play like robber or look force with that free safety. Deep safety on the backside here. Whenever he gets motion like that, since it's not 2 receivers and there's not like a fake bubble go type situation, fake jailbreak and go, he's keying that near back. So we're treating it like a 2-back formation once you got that motion. And he's keying, once that motion goes across the face, he'd be keying the next back. He'd treat the quarterback as the next back on some sort of run type game. If he does read play action, he's flat foot reading that. So if he reads play action, he would be able to kind of help as a cover 2 type safety on that side. We're manned up there. Free safety's keying the sniffer, the H back there. So if that H back hooks up and starts to block something, he's going to start to pull his trigger. Always a little susceptible if he can kind of give a fake block and go maybe on one of those inside linebackers. That's something that you really kind of train that kid up to be able to defend. But that's our look. And again, our inside linebackers are keen guards. They're B and A gap responsible, which should be pretty obvious stuff. So that's how it would go even with motion. Once you come out in the formation and we have, so our call for the front is angle. These guys are waiting to know where they're going to angle. So we'd be calling right, angle. That tells everyone we're going a gap to the left. That leaves him as the force guy. So that way he can be available, helping some sort of bubble, jailbreak, whatever pass game you got to the speed side. And then he's bringing it in D gap. That becomes automatic once we declare where we're angling or slanting.
We got the jet motion from the receiver in the boundary. The offensive line is going to block outside zone to the field, so outside zone right, it's backwards for me. Outside zone right. The sniffer is going to jab step like he's going H counter, and then he's going outside zone. Now, if he saw that blitz was coming, he'd just have to abandon his jab step, obviously, and go straight to that Sam. Our right guard is going to false pull, so he's going to pull and kick the in man on the line of scrimmage. So we've got the center working to the mic, left guard trying to cut off the nose, and then the left tackle working up to the will. So our jet motion guy is going to end up being a lead blocker. So he's going to come around and he's working up to the free safety if he can. In a perfect world, that's where he's getting to. The tailback is going to run H counter. We run a lot of H counter, so he's going to H counter fake in there and just kind of pick up any trash, carry out his fake. Hopefully someone tackles him, and then the quarterback's keeping it, following the jet sweep around the edge. On 2nd and 12, our goal is to get half the distance. So if we can get a 6-yard gain out of it, we feel like we're in a reasonable 3rd down situation then at that point. So initially, I would say it looks like if your 5 technique whips our ass, we're in trouble. Hopefully we can get him influenced a little bit. But yeah, if he whips us, we're going to have trouble there. Oklahoma, you gotta run the Lincoln Riley play, right? This is a tag we run off of our Y cross play. It's not Y cross at all, but it's a tag we run off of it. So the outside receiver is going to short motion in. Like I said, we're hitting on the run. When the ball's snapped, he's going to run the cross. The guy that's motion will be the crosser. He's under one, over two, whatever, however you want to word that up. Double post. Yeah, he's going. The inside stacked receiver is going to be the pivot guy. And then the guy that was on the ball on the hash is going to be a spray release, expansion release, post. And then the backside single receiver is what we call a shallow climb. Everybody on Twitter's got a different word for it, where he's picking off across the field and then spiking up at a vertical angle. Like we call it at a corner angle. So our goal on this is with that short motion, we're going to give our post runner inside leverage of the corner, right? Try to ensure, and that his spray release is, hey, don't give up your inside leverage on the corner. We're teaching our drag runner. He wants to try to take the eyes of that near side safety with him. If he can't, it looks like you might be rolling. But if he can't, he can't. So quarterback's reading that post as his first read to what we call the shallow climb, the spike route, whatever you want to call it, is the second read. And then the pivot would be the check down. So 3rd and 1 in positive territory like that. No field goal kicker. We know we've got 2 downs at this point. So my thinking is let's go ahead and try to get the lead right now on this play, maybe get you guys in a run defense or something like that. And then if we don't get it, we can come back with our heavy personnel package, something we feel really good about getting 1 yard on the next play, treating this kind of as a free play,
Guys are good at our inside linebacker is probably going to be lost out in space a little bit, and we're not going to get that. That crossing route is probably the most likely open thing. Corners reading, that guy goes inside. He's looking for the first threat coming back out. He'll sink the outside leverage on the kind of fake out and then seam, or the widen and then seam, the fade and seam, or whatever you want to call that, right? And he'll probably drive down on the pivot route. Free safety will stay on top and inside of the number 2 receiver. We're rolling. There's definitely a little window before our deep safety is going to get rolled over there that maybe you're able to hit if that's what your quarterback wants to go to. He's going to get there and be in position to tackle, but there might be room to fit that in before you actually throw it. And I really think that guy's going to get lost. We just don't see a ton of that crossing type deal. So unless that's been on a ton of your film that we got coming. Especially for the inside linebacker, us showing NCAA blitz there, the inside linebacker is going to have a little trouble sniffing that out, probably. Cloud coverage over here because you're motioning to trips. If you wouldn't have been, we would have been really aggressive to read our alignment. We would have been up a little bit, and we're telling that free safety like you're keeping them out of the end zone type deal. Slant to the field, but we're gonna end up sending our nose to the boundary. Have the wheel run across attack there. We'll loop the backside, outside backer there too. If your back would go to the boundary, we'd send that the other way. That way, our one of our 2 inside linebackers can make sure he helps out where that number 3 declares. If it's some sort of sprint out type thing, he can help go set the edge so other guys can stay in coverage. We're 1-on-1 back there. If that's your best dude, we're gonna make sure our best corner's over there, and whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen type deal. Deep safety, he's keying that number 3 receiver. If that number 3 receiver goes out, his eyes go to number 2 for something coming back type thing. That's what we're doing. So
motion, we're going to put him on a goal line arrow route. He's going to run the depth of however deep he has to be on the goal line. So here, 6 yards.
Yep.
Number 2 to the field is going to run a pivot route with what you're going to want to call a rub route, right?
Yep.
Right on the goal line as well. Number 1 to the field, the first out, the motion guy would be the first out. He's going to try to get in the way of anybody that's chasing him in motion, not pick him, but rub him. and then pivot back out on the goal line. Number one is going to run what we call a K route. I know some guys call a scoop corner. So he's going to inside release, and then he's back pylon of the end zone. So on the snap, both receivers are going in, right, with the arrow coming out behind them. We are going to sprint out, call it sprint out, it's sprint out protection, but our quarterback is not working for width at all. He's more sprinting back at a 45-degree angle, buying time, kind of a sprint out. We want to keep this play alive more than I want him sprinting out of the pocket, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And then the backside, number one, like you said, that is our best guy. We're going to put our 6'4", ex-basketball player, big kid there, and kind of lazy release off the line, try to get inside leverage of the corner with a lazy release, and then he's running back line of the end zone for an oh crap jump ball type of situation. So quarterback's if he can throw that arrow, if he feels like he can throw that, he's going to throw it right now. Obviously, if your corner's squatting or playing in the flats like that, he can't throw it. So hopefully he doesn't throw right into that coverage. The inside pivot route's really kind of a dead route. We don't even really look at it on this particular variation. We have it where it is part of the play, but on this one it's not. So he would go 1, the arrow, 2, the corner route, and then 3, that back line end zone ball to our very best player. And he's not spending very long on 1 and 2. It's if they're wide open, throw it. If not, your security blanket's that big dude running on the back line of the end zone type of play. So. Thanks for having me on, Coach. I think this kind of stuff's awesome. We talked about it a lot in our program. The pandemic year and 2020 was a lot of crazy, a lot of not fun. But I think the very best programs look at it in a way that what can we take from it? What did we do better? What did we learn from it? How can we get better? And I think this kind of stuff is a big part of that. A lot of Zoom meetings. I've connected with coaches all around the nation because we're all sitting at home for weeks last spring, this time last year. And I think it's pretty cool that kind of stuff's still going on. A meeting like this, maybe it would have happened 2 years ago, but I didn't see many of these 2 years ago. And I think it's really cool that the coaching community is finding the positives in a really not positive situation, the last 12 months or whatever. So I think that's awesome. Coach, thanks for having us on. Thanks for letting me be a part of this. Coach Klee, thanks for being a good guy to go up against with this, where it's not, I've got the chalk last, so we would have done this. I've seen those, and that stinks. I was actually a little bit nervous about doing one of these because of that. So I appreciate that, man. I had a lot of fun doing this.
Same thing. Thanks, Coach Mallard, for reaching out. Obviously, you stumbled upon me on Twitter. Appreciate that. I don't know if I followed you or whatnot, but going back to what Coach Schneider said, kind of amen to that on the amount that coaches have collaborated. We already as a profession, I think we maybe do this better than any other profession of collaborate with each other and share ideas, just because Coach Schneider and I, we're probably never going to see each other on game day type thing. And then on top of that, him and I both know our opponents are the good opponents on our schedule that's you're playing for state titles and stuff. They got your tape anyways. They know what's coming. It's do they call things at the right time? Do they have things matched up? How much have they coached the kids up? Because that's, I guess, any younger coaches that end up watching this type of thing, all this stuff's great, but your kids got to actually understand it. You've got to be building in the rules that those kids have on your play calls all the time, and be able to communicate those. That's the one thing that we can't simulate on one of these type things. I got to give that. Coach is giving his signal over on his sideline. I'm giving my signal, and we both got to get those in during that play clock and be lined up, ready to go, and all that stuff. And the day-to-day is way more important, that relationship with the kid type thing. And that's obviously why Coach Schneider and his program, he mentioned it, he's been blessed with great kids. That's why our program's successful. You got kids that are constantly building. That's something that that's something I probably could learn from Coach Schneider quite a bit about, is establishing that next level culture. We've gotten from a point where we took over a program that had been 1-8, I think, for about 4 or 5 years straight, and we've had 3 wins every year since that. But we've kind of plateaued at, we sniffed the playoffs. We bumped into the playoffs on 2 occasions, qualifying wise. We missed it by a game one other year, and we kind of hit a little bit of a plateau, and so it's all those pieces, I guess, coming together that's super, super important. So thanks again, Coach Mallard, for having me on. Coach Schneider, thanks for the back and forth, and it's been fun.